The Aegis Law Enforcement Foundation of Greater Chattanooga is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It's kind of a police cheerleader, and its goal is to raise funds for technical projects for training among police departments. There are seven, of which there are seven in the Chattanooga area. Red Bank, Saudi Daisy, for example, East Ridge. These are municipalities with their own departments. And also for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department, of which we have one. There's one of those. So there are eight police jurisdictions, one sheriff and one. The remainder are corporation departments serving the mayors of each of those those towns. So Aegis is evolving itself in training and technology, looking at officer wish lists and finding a way of getting grants and donations even from people like you, my listener here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. And I am David Tulis. We are the station in which you report and the world decides. We're online at hotnewstalkradio.com. And also on your smartphone through the TuneIn Radio app. If you happen to pass beyond the pulsing radius of our towers, well, there we are on your smartphone. It's a truly amazing technology how everyone in media is playing everybody else's part. The writer is on TV, and the radio guys who writes, and we're all mixed up. Tom Ed Wilson is the CEO of this organization. He's a longtime former banker and left the banking sector in 2002. And and then he was for 11 years the CEO of the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce. He's married. His wife's name is Barbie. They have 3 grown daughters, 7 grandchildren, and 1 great grandchild. And he is now overseeing as the sole paid staffer this Aegis Law Enforcement Foundation, and which started, he says, in 2012 when he left the chamber. Tom Ed, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, tell us what I gave a quick summary of what the foundation is about. Right. Refine that for us, please.
Well, the Sheriff Jim Hammond actually started this organization in 2011. And when I retired from the chamber, he came and asked me if I would help him get it up and get it started. And I had not had a chance to work with law enforcement that much. I thought it might be an interesting thing to do at that stage of my life, so I said yes. So Aegis is an organization that we put together. It's a 501c3. We serve as a conduit, if you will, to connect the business community with the community of law enforcement, specifically to furnish things that perhaps their budgets don't cover that would be good for them in their line of work.
Well, why do you think businesses should be supportive of policing particularly?
Well, when I was with the chamber and we recruited major companies here, once you got through all of the necessities, the land, et cetera, they wanted to know about 3 things that concerned the community because they were bringing paid, high-priced staff people here. They wanted to know about the hospital, the medical care, the quality of medical care in the community. They wanted to know about the quality of education, what our school system was like, and they wanted to know about public safety. So when you recruit businesses into an area, the quality of your public safety system is an economic development item.
And that would be not just the protection of property, the maintenance of lines of protecting factories from intruders and warehouses from break-ins, but other parts of security as well.
Well, it's like walking downtown at night and having a safe feeling. And throughout our country now, there's seems to be more violence. At least more violence that we can see that's affecting other people. So peace of mind, I think, is very important for citizens of our community.
Is it the understanding of Aegis, Tom Ed Wilson, that crime is generally rising from the 1960s?
I'm not speaking for the police when I say this. I've read things. I read something yesterday where it said that overall, since the 60s, overall crime may be going down. You can read anything into statistics, but certainly in terms of what's happened in our country and evidently an anti-police an agenda out there, public safety becomes even more important.
Well, describe the anti-police agenda and how you're trying to counter it.
Well, I've been around the police quite a bit in the last 3 years. I've come to admire these people. They are hardworking, honest people that truly care for our community. And when they go to work, they do something that most of us do not have to deal with, and that they strap on a weapon. And they don't know what they're going to encounter out in the marketplace. And the scenario training device simulator that I hope to raise money for to get for them will give them training as to how to react to certain situations that they're going to encounter in the marketplace.
This is David Tulis. We're talking with Tom Ed Wilson, who's telling us about a shooting simulator software system that costs up to about $70,000. Is that right, Tom Ed?
That's right. You can even get it more than that, depending on how many bells and whistles you have on it.
But the one that you're proposing for law enforcement training purposes here is about between $60,000 and $70,000.
Yes, that's correct.
And you're trying to raise money from businessmen to pay for that.
Yes.
Well, how does that simulator work?
Well, I interestingly enough, I tried that, and first of all, for a guy like me that's not a policeman, it was a lot of fun. But the simulator is a large, high-definition screen, state-of-the-art. Right now, the one that we looked at had 300 different scenarios that they can computerize on the screen. It's set in a small room. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's not. It's dark because you have to use your flashlight. It's something you would encounter in the darkness. And you walk in and you're put into a situation where you've got to react to it. That person on the screen may end up pulling a gun or a knife, or he may end up pulling his car keys or just a wallet. And you've got to react to that. All this is going on while you're being taped. And so you can come back and see how you reacted to the situation. You can also see if you had to shoot the person on the screen, where your shots went, and if you in turn got shot.
And if he's, I think I read in one of the accounts that the man you've already shot twice is on the ground, and if you don't keep shooting him, he'll shoot you. Is that one of the one of the incidents?
Yeah, there is an incident similar to that. The one that I saw, he had been shot and he was on the ground and he rolled over and raised his weapon to shoot again. So the police had to shoot him again. So here again, I think that's the sort of training that the police need. If somebody's down, they need to know how to react to that in real life.
Well, is there a possibility, Tom Ed Wilson, that this device encourages the kind of police violence that, since the Ferguson incident, have been the focus of so much public attention? Is it possible that this device, which trains the officer to to think that every encounter is a life or death situation, that will tend to make the officer have more of a hair trigger?
Well,
in shooting.
Well, let me come back to what you just said. Every situation is a life and death situation. Obviously, it is. When a policeman enters, he doesn't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. But this training helps him understand through training that the person that he's confronting on the screen may not have a weapon, and in fact may not pull a weapon. And it teaches him that he doesn't need to overreact, teaches him to be more careful, look at his surroundings, look at the person, see how they're acting. So to me, it's just the opposite. It will not increase gun violence. It will increase the police shootings. It will decrease police shootings.
Well, do you think that if police officers go into an encounter, let's say on the side of a street or with a pedestrian or someone at the front of a building in the evening hours, that this training will encourage that officer to constantly think in terms of personal safety in a way that makes him aggressive toward that member of the public?
Going through the scenario training, and here again, I'm not a trained policeman, but even I became more aware of, after going through 2 or 3 different scenarios, of the situations that were involved around me and around the person on the screen. I listened more, but more carefully. I watched more carefully. I was more careful with my distance between me and the person. And certainly the more you do that, the better trained you are if you confront that actual situation, and you eventually probably will if you stay a policeman long enough in the marketplace.
So this device, which businesses are hoped will pay for, will not increase the divide between officers and the people. In fact, it will decrease that divide that many people already feel exists between them and officers who are there enforcing the law against them in some way.
Well, this device is all about training. And I think the better trained police personnel we can put on the streets, police personnel that have experienced training on this simulator, have gone through hundreds of different simulations, have watched replay of how they reacted to that simulation, will give them a better opportunity to make perhaps better decisions in the marketplace.
So if an officer, let's say, meets you on the side of the street, you're a man, you've retired from a couple of jobs already, you're an older man, and you've white hair, a very respectable person. So if someone like you approaches that officer, he's asked you to get out of your car, and then you start talking to him by saying something like, "Well, officer, you don't have probable cause to stop me, and you don't. Am I wanted for some crime? State your business." That he could take as belligerent, right? But you are simply standing upon your rights. You're not being belligerent. But because of this training, you're suggesting he is not as likely to tase you or hit you or club you or knock you to the ground.
Well, that's
because he understands. But the training has helped him see that you are just a harmless motorist who's standing upon your rights.
Well, certainly, I think that could be gained from this training. I am. You mentioned my age and my white hair, so that means I am a little older. And if a policeman asks me to get out of my car, I'm going to do that. He's asking me for a reason. He's got a reason to want to get me out of my car and talk to me. I think I made a talk the other day where I said that it seems to me like in this day and time, manners is something that's almost ceasing to exist. So I think you can be courteous to the police. And then to answer your question, yes, I would think with scenario training, they would be able to better handle that situation.
So they would understand in real life situations where you are not viewed as any kind of physical threat, even though you are resisting his desire to have a conversation. You're saying, well, I make no statement apart from my lawyer, and am I free to leave? And are you detaining me? These are the kinds of things that my listener is aware of, having watched at least one traffic encounter video on YouTube, of which there are many, and I know you've seen some of those. So the street side encounters often, though, are without probable cause. They often tend to be belligerent, and if you are the wrong color, if you're a younger man, maybe black, you are much more likely to be manhandled. Well, I guess the question is, since we have this growing anti-police sentiment, does this simulator increase that sentiment by making officers more hair triggered oriented, more concerned about personal safety, or does it sort of go in the other direction, make the officer aware that, well, he's just a member of the community and he needs to be a helpful person, like, I guess, as Fred Fresher proposes of that crime task force that disbanded. The officers did not like being friendly, they were always there. They seem to be about law enforcement. So I guess the question is getting muddled, lost there. But how do you ascertain the benefit for the public, the member of the public who has an encounter with a police officer? Does this training make him safer or less safe?
Oh, I think it makes him safer. You watch, we just passed a weekend, and I'm sure a lot of people out in your audience here watched football games, and they show the replay on the football games. And as we all know, after all that game is played, then the players the next few days, they watch themselves on that screen to see how they reacted under the pressure of the game. Well, that's what the simulator does. And when you go through the simulator, you get to sit and watch yourself react to that situation. Now, that's a learning period of time there. As they say, that's a learning moment, it's a teaching moment. And you can take that and learn from it and do that same simulation again if you'd like and see how you react then. So to me, the better trained policemen that are on the street, the better off the citizen is.
This is David Tulis. We're talking with Tom Ed Wilson. And caller, you're live on the air with David Tulis and Tom Ed Wilson from the Aegis Law Enforcement Foundation. What's on your mind?
I have a question, but I have a comment. I applaud your guest. I think you're doing a great thing. I've seen the simulators. I think it's going to make the police sharper and prevent unnecessary shootings. Because I couldn't imagine pulling over a group of thugs at 2 a.m. by myself and having to deal with that. It's a thankless job. And I think we need maybe to build more prisons and more simulators, as opposed to some people in the police ranks, the liberal Chattanooga police ranks, of delivering pizzas to gangs. I think we need more whips and chains to get these people in shape. And I think this will take some of the edge off of the police and the anti-police propaganda that's going around the city and the country. So I applaud your efforts in doing that. Has your organization helped police in other ways, like with bulletproof vests, or maybe giving them bully clubs to whack these punks over the head? I'll listen over the air. Thanks.
Was a question about bulletproof vests?
Yes. What other things has the Aegis Foundation done for law enforcement in the area, Tom Ed Wilson?
We have yet. One thing we have done, we got a very sizable donation through from the business sector, and we were able to buy some cameras, body cameras, for both the Sheriff's Department and the Chattanooga Police Department. We also have had seminars where we brought people in to discuss different subjects, and it's not just about violence or force. We brought a lady in who discussed the deep web and how you search the deep web to help gather information to prevent crimes.
Is every police officer in Chattanooga going to have at some point, every officer on the street going to have at some point a body camera paid for by private parties, Tom Ed Wilson, or will there be taxpayer money for those?
You know, that's a question I really can't answer. I know that we gave some, and that came from private sources, and we will continue.
Are those test models, or what?
No, these were actual body cameras that we purchased and gave to those police officers.
All right, so the Aegis Foundation, Tom Ed Wilson, is I describe it as kind of a cheerleader for policing, and it is, and you're trying to enlist businesses to support with tax deductible gifts, right?
Right.
For equipment.
Yes, we are a 501c3.
Right, 501c3 tax deductible gifts that pay for equipment, and what is in view is a simulator produced by TI Incorporated, which is a company that makes a whole range of these kinds of devices. The website, Tom Ed Wilson of Aegis, says that there's a brief video, a 5-minute video about policing and about the foundation. And it says that it envisions police becoming the people and the people becoming the police. What is meant by that idea?
I think probably it's just the relationship. You know, there's got to be respect on both sides before any proposition can function as it's supposed to. So I think as the police get as they work harder, let's say, to create a better relationship with the community, and the community works just as hard right back, that they will become more of a close-knit partnership and more effective.
Is there any prospect for the demilitarization of policing in Chattanooga?
Oh, here again, you know, being not a policeman, that's not a subject that I'm really competent to talk about. But you'd have to talk to people like Sheriff Hammond or perhaps Chief Fletcher.
But from your perspective, you don't see the militarization of policing as a real problem that someone has to address, if not your organization.
Well, I don't know. When you say the militarization of police, I'm not sure what exactly that means. Some people have viewed that as in Ferguson as bringing in too much heavy artillery at the very beginning.
Like armored cars and sniper rifles and
called it that.
Shields.
We are in many places, in Ferguson being one, I think we are confronting issues that we've never had to confront in this country before. So there is a learning process out there about what works and what doesn't.
Well, anything else? How can my listener contact you, Tom Ed Wilson, if he has a question or wants to make a donation to the Aegis Law Enforcement Foundation of Greater Chattanooga?
First of all, make it out to Aegis Law Enforcement and send it to, and here's the address, 735 Broad Street, Suite 309, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And my email address is my name, TOMEDD, epbfi.com.
Well, Tom Ed, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. I love to talk about this subject, by the way.
Well, Tom Ed Wilson is the director of the Aegis Law Enforcement Foundation of Greater Chattanooga, a nonprofit organization, a police cheerleader looking for funds from the private sector, from people like you, my listener, to pay for a shooting simulator that has hundreds of scenarios in which officers in training learn whether they have to pull the trigger for their own safety or put the weapon down because the party opposite is just a person reaching for his keys. This is David Tulis, and we're at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. I do thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time, and I've got some things I want you to hear. Thanks so much.